It is an exceptional event that we are setting up for on Saturday night, right behind us at the Mandalay Bay Event Center. Main event, super fight. Jose Aldo Jr. defending his title versus Frankie Edgar, who's coming down to his natural weight class. This is a legitimate super fight.
You know, Frankie Edgar had to cut, missed breakfast. He's going to miss maybe a little lunch before he makes weight. He was severely undersized at 155 and still was the champ. Not 145. He's got a legitimate cause and a little bit of legitimate effect. He'll step in right away to take over Jose Aldo's belt. And it's very exciting because I keep flip-flopping on who's going to win and how they're going to win. One time I'm thinking Frankie is wrestling and his mobility, he runs around like Mighty Mouse. You can't ever stop him from moving. He's just always bouncing around. The other time, I'm like, no, Jose Aldo's stand-up game is so much better than Frankie's. He's going to hit him and knock him down and slow him down. I can't figure which way it's going to happen, but I have a real bad problem. I never bet against Frankie Edgar because if I do, it becomes bad for me. So I'm always trying to lean towards Frankie, but I'm not sure which way those are going to go.
Is the leg kick angle with Jose Aldo being overlooked or is it being underlooked? Is it just being overestimated or is it something that, listen, this is a legitimate concern for Frankie? Jose's never met anybody like Frankie, and Frankie's never met anybody like Jose. So you're talking about guys, I've never seen this style in front of them before. I personally think it's being underplayed by Frankie's side, but being overplayed by Jose's side. I think we all know the leg kick is coming. We all know it's going to be an issue. The question is, will Frankie be able to deal with it as it's coming at him and learn how to check the kick, take the kick? You don't want to take too many of them, but check a couple of them and get inside and slow him down and get all the way out like he normally does. We can't touch him at all. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, Lil Nog, is actually stepping into the cage for the first time in 13 months. Obviously, ring rust will be a factor against Sugar Rashad Evans, one of the most explosive and powerful guys at 205 pounds. Does Lil Nog have a shot in this fight?
I love Lil Nog. I love both him and Big Nog. I've called him when I was working for Pride. I love calling their fights. He's going to get killed. It's unfortunate because he just doesn't have the ability to stop a wrestler like Rashad Evans. He just can't do it. Every time he battles a wrestler, he falls completely apart. He's in the game for a little while with his stand-up game because it's gotten so much better over the years, but then when it gets into the real battle, the real heat of the fight, he completely falls apart. We saw it against Bader. We're going to see it against Ryan Evans.
The rumblings are finally over. Alistair Overeem passed all his tests. He will be taking on Antonio Bigfoot Silva. At stake here for the Reem is obviously a title shot versus champion Cain Velasquez.
You know, I got to be honest, ring rust is a big factor, and ring rust in the UFC is a huge factor. Not to mention how many more things he has to do, how much more press is coming at him, how many more tests he has to do, how many more things he's under a microscope the entire time. His entire train camp was being looked at by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and Keith Kaiser. Now it's time to fight. Let's not forget, Bigfoot is a legitimate guy. He's a legitimate character. He's not just some random fighter throwing at him for meat. This is a guy that could actually make a contention with a little more skill and more help. Yes, he's coming over from Strikeforce, but he is a guy that's legit. And this is a problem for Alistair Overeem. He tends to come in sometimes against these weaker opponents in his mind. He tends not to train as hard and not to bring the game when the fight starts. If he doesn't start right away against Bigfoot, Bigfoot's going to stomp him.
There are often fights where we ask fans not to talk to us for just for this fight. Leave us alone for a second. And I think that one there is not just the main event and the rest of the card, but Damian Maia and John Fitch. You think it's John Fitch, the old John Fitch? He's back, and he's going to halt Damian Maia's win streak here at 170.
I like John Fitch the way he came into Brazil. You saw the way he battled, the way he fought. He chased him down. He wouldn't let Eric Silva get away from him. He caught him, pulled him down when he tried to run away. That new John Fitch, which is technically the old John Fitch style that we saw when he first started fighting, if he uses that again, he's going to stop Damian Maia. But don't ever count out Damian Maia. Yes, we've seen a couple of fights where he boot scooted around and looked really boring and was kind of running away. It didn't look like much. But Fitch isn't that kind of style where he's going to stay away from Damian. No matter what happens, he's going to engage. If he engages with long arms or a chin up, he's going to get caught in something because Damian from the ground is unstoppable.
The opening bout of the broadcast, obviously, is Joseph Benavidez, who just lost that fight to Demetrius Johnson for the flyweight championship against Ian McCall, who fought Demetrius twice. I don't know what's at stake here for the winner.
This was a really tough one to call because both guys, it's not a leave or lose town, but it's a winner gets put up back into the top end of the rankings and maybe have a title shot another year where the loser's going to be regulated to the bottom for 2 years. And 2 years in MMA is a long time. That's the end of your prime to being so far off you have no shot of doing anything ever again. So one of these guys, if they lose, might be away from never see another title shot ever again. It's really tight fight to call, but you got to give it to Joseph Benavidez just because he's a little bit better at staying on his feet, a little bit better at keeping the game. But Ian McCall's takedown game is so superior to everybody else he's battled lately. He's got a legitimate shot of taking down Joseph and holding him down and wearing him out the first part of the first 2 rounds and then beating him up in the 3rd round.
As always, thank you much for your time and much more from us over the next 5 to 7 days.